Hi, Jim. Hi, Christy.
Hello. Hi.
Are we alone?
Probably not.
Dennis?
Hi, how are you this evening? Yeah. So far. Yes. Let me get over. I've got to make an adjustment on to. There it is. I had to shut the sound off of Facebook so I didn't get reverb.
Yeah, they were going to have mine on my iPhone too, and I closed it. So,
Kathy Webb has joined us. Joanne Talbot has joined us. Good evening to you guys.
should we be able to hear them or not?
They're on Facebook, so they.
Oh, they're on Facebook.
That's, I wish more people would join the Zoom call because we have sound and the ability to interact. The only way that I can do that with Facebook is if they type something.
Yeah.
That's-
Well, I don't even do Facebook. Christy does, but I unsubscribed.
I think Carrie's going to join us on Zoom this evening, I think. She had to take care of her mom for a lot of this morning, so that was pretty time consuming. She had a doctor's appointment, and the bus had to take her from the nursing home to the doctor's office and so on. So
on your phone.
Look.
So we're going to wait just a couple of minutes. We have about 3 minutes before the actual start time.
Oh, here it is. Bible Gateway. I'm trying to use Bible Gateway for this
Yeah, that's very good, isn't it?
because, yeah, and you can also text the passages to your phone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easier for me to read sitting in a chair in the living room than the Bible, and I like the language is easy too.
Yeah, you can read a lot of different translations, which is good, which is really good. I use it almost daily.
Yeah, I've hardly used it at all, and I remembered that I had it, and so last night I was doing that. I'm reading Acts on Bible Gateway.
Did you have a nice trip up to Michigan?
Yes, we did.
Very nice.
Jory
Very
did
nice.
well in her race, and
Yeah.
Jenny's doing fine.
Good.
And it was her birthday, so we had a birthday party, went out to dinner and stuff. So
Excellent. We've got about 7 that are on Facebook right now, and there's, I think Russ is planning to join us, and
I have it too.
some people are waiting for hit it right at 6:30, which is fine. Charlie is joining us this evening. Charlie is not herself right now
Oh,
because she had an ear infection, a bad ear infection. So she's on prednisone right now, and it's making her a little loopy.
yeah. Too bad.
But she had a walk today, so she was happy about that. Well, this is our 3rd session. Shirley has joined us this evening. I have apologies to make, though. I normally send out the study guide, or I give it to Carrie and she sends it out. But with all the stuff going on, getting ready for the substitute folks coming in for Sunday morning service, I forgot to send
I know.
study guide out. So apologize to any of you who did not get the study guide. Russ is going to join us here. So say hi to Russ. Beth and Dave are joining us. on Facebook. All right. Well, let's get started. God's blessings as we begin. You know, we're talking about tonight really the H part of shape, which is heart. Now, we all know the heart doesn't really have the ability to control our emotions or our thoughts. But of course, for centuries, the heart was considered the center of a human being. And so, we got some more folks joining us. Ben is joining. Diane. All right. Great. Good evening, guys.
Mhm.
So nice to have you here. So when you think of these, you know, the passion of the heart, that's really one of the aspects, you know, in terms of finding out our, you know, what we really love to do. And I think it's important for us to think about this. Phil Hampton's joined us as well. I want to read this passage that starts things out from Proverbs 19. As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. So basically what Proverbs is saying is that our life really reflects our passions very often. Somebody's trying to communicate with me. Got to figure out what that is. Sorry. So Carrie, I don't know how she did it. She found a way of sending everything out for the shape study. Way to go, Carrie. Hopefully she can also join us. Our emotional heartbeat is what we feel inside. We are moved for some things and not for others. Oh, there she is. Welcome, Carrie. I see you're out with the sunflowers this evening. Psalm 37:4 says, "Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." So when you think about your passions, there are three questions that I put down here in the study guide. What are the desires of your heart? How do you long to impact others in the world? And three is, what did Jesus mean when he said, "I have come to serve and not be served"? So let's start out with those three questions. You know, when you think of your passion, and when you connect that passion with making an impact in life, how would you describe what you're really passionate about? And I could start with anybody at this point on Facebook. What passion drives you in your life? So why don't I call on Jim to start with this evening?
Thanks, Dennis. That's really a hard question. I don't, you know, at my stage of life, I don't feel driven anymore. And I think I'm passionate about my family and friends. And I mean, I don't really have a passion, something that's, you know, driving me like that. I'm trying to be a better Christian.
Okay.
And I like the opportunity to help people if they have medical questions and stuff that maybe I can help them with, because it's sort of like a foreign language to people. And then, you know, if they've been to the doctor, when they come home, they say, "Well, he didn't tell me anything," you know.
Yeah.
So it's helpful. And
Phil Hampton says to better myself as a person. This is something that he's passionate about. So you think about that. That's kind of what you're saying too, Jim. But yours also has a little bit of a twist to it. That's because of your training in the medical field, that you can actually help people understand or navigate questions about health. So I think that's great. Let me throw it to Ben for a second. Do you have a passion that kind of drives you in life?
Well, I want to have a big family someday. So right now, just trying to get a job or career going to where I'll be able to have a big family and be able to spend good time with them and have enough money to have a big family.
Yeah. So family and relationships are a passion. You're really, that's something that really interests you. And so work is something that you're concentrating on. And so that kind of makes sense. Different age periods in your life create different passions. Let me throw it to Russ for a minute.
I guess I've always felt passionate about helping others, either, with a lot of satisfaction through work by doing that, by seeing them achieve their goals and dreams, and through volunteer work and continuing on now, even though still working with the kids that I still do. I do enjoy that and seeing them get better. And so I guess it's always been something, working with the SAWS group, through the foundation, just helping other people.
Yeah. Joanne Talbot says to make people feel happy and loved. It's oriented, like you said, towards other people. Diane, let me go to you and ask you if there's something that you find that you're just passionate about and want to make an impact with.
I like to try to make people happy, make them feel loved. And I understand the importance of sometimes just listening to people. And just trying to be a better person and a better Christian.
Listening is a really, really important key. And I think a lot of people do not know really how to listen well. If you've been out there, even like, one of the things that I kind of laugh about is there are a lot of times servers in restaurants really should take a class in listening, because a lot of times you tell them one thing and they completely forget it within 2 seconds. And that always amazes me. Carrie, how about you?
I have to unmute for barking dogs, so
Yes.
not really.
Pets. Maybe pets are a passion.
Pets are certainly a passion, and I do love helping animals find homes, which usually ends up being here. And I also like it. It really is a passion. I mean, outreach is a passion to share the gospel and to introduce people to Jesus in creative and unique ways that maybe I never know who finds out, that way, or who becomes connected at a higher level with, in their own faith, through some of this weird stuff that we do, from Chris Kindle Market to, Red Wine and Brew. There's a lot of chances to share that with people and kind of scatter the seeds. I guess I'm a seed thrower, and then wherever they get picked up and whatever happens.
I've heard a few people say that you're a seedy person.
Yes.
I'm going to throw it up to Christy. I'm going to throw it up to Christy real quick here and ask her the same question.
Oh, for me?
Yes.
Well, my passion is definitely my kids and my granddaughters. Definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I just, like Jim said, at this stage of our life, that's where my passion lies.
So, one of the things is it is possible to connect your passion, or where your heart is, with the idea of serving others and finding ways that, as you care for your family, so those same passions and skills are able to transfer in how we care for others around us, especially within the church family, within Christianity, or as in Carrie's case, with her passion about outreach to those who do not know Christ, how you carry that into out into the world and find ways of introducing people to Christ or reinforcing knowledge that they might have of Christ. In Colossians 3:23 through 24, it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. One of the things that I remember about living in Kentucky and having just been down there recently, there was a community of Christians called the Shakers, who, and in the Shaker community, one of the things that they emphasized, they stressed, was that all your work, everything you do, your grandkids, or outreach, or your work, your desire to have a family, all those things, everything they saw as if it was something that they were doing for the Lord. So whether you were washing dishes or building a barn, whether you were cooking a meal or whether you were tending a garden, everything was something that gave praise to God, that they incorporated that into a sense of worship and a sense of serving. One of the things that religious community did that very few other people were doing is they would actually, and of course, adoption laws were different back then, but they would take orphans into their community and raise them as a community, which I think is kind of incredible when you think about it. Of course, that was the only way that the Shakers could grow, since they believed in celibacy.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But think about the beauty of that all their work, everything and obviously the passion to care for orphans, or they took in abused women, in some cases, who were, and in that era when they were, at the height of their existence, women had virtually no rights. So to be welcomed into a community out of an abusive relationship where you would have nothing, what an act of kindness that would have been for them. I want to give this definition on kind of narrowing down and finding your spiritual gifts. The ultimate contribution God has for you to make will align with the passions he has given you for his kingdom. God wants our hearts to reflect our dreams and desires. So in other words, God wants you to see that his desire is to connect your heart with service, that there's a connection there. What you're passionate about can also lead to how you serve. Your passion for medicine, Jim, still leads you to be able to share with others guidance and direction at times, or answer questions and provide help and understanding. Your building trade skills, Russ, have helped people to have homes. All of these things, the alignment of these things are important. Ben, as you think about family, there are skills that will go into, growing a family that fit right into caring for others. So 3 questions I think we need to ask as we define this more clearly. Who do I love serving? Who do I love serving? Secondly, whose needs do I love meeting? And thirdly, what challenges or causes do I love to conquer? So, who do I love to serve? I mean, these, I think, are reflective questions that you kind of do on your own. You know, you can go into these little labs on the computer and check the 1 through 10 scores of what you're good at or what your spiritual gifts are. But I think to really discover your spiritual gifts, you can't overlook just the hard work of doing some of these things and thinking about these things. Who do I love to serve? Phil talks about Meals on Wheels as serving a specific group, meeting a need for hunger. So that's an avenue that he's pursuing. What causes or challenges do I love to conquer? Well, conquering your time, so to speak, taking control of your time and saying that I'm going to set up a portion of my time where I serve people who have a need, who can't get out to eat, whatever, bring them meals at home. That's a great example of that. And remember, God loves for you to help him reach the people he has placed in your life. Very often, the gifts that you have are going to align, and the people that God wants you to reach, God's going to bring into your life. Right? It's not necessarily that you're going to go out, have to look all over the place for it. The opportunities are going to be there for you to have somebody right in your workplace, right in your within your family, right in the group of your friendships. How many times have you had a chance to meet the needs of people right in your immediate friendship family, so to speak, or within your church family? Somebody told me, and I don't know if this is a fact, maybe somebody can find this out, but I understood that Bill McWhirter may have had a lot of damage to a place he had down in Florida. I don't know. Has anybody else heard this?
Yeah, I saw the pictures today. This condo down there had a fair amount of damage. All the flooring was destroyed. The building looked like it was pretty much intact, but he's in the process of tearing up tile and carpeting, and I'm not sure about the furniture, but he said it smelled terrible inside. So I don't know if there's damage to the walls in addition.
Which is also why he probably didn't answer my phone call, because he wasn't able to. But, you know, there may be some opportunities for us to reach out to Bill and say, you know, we might not be able to take care of the situation. You may have insurance and all those things. But how can we as a church family reach out to him and, you know, and let him know we care? You know, as we start to think about, and how do our talents and passions and interests align in such a way where people right in our path are folks that we try to take care of. Julie, who's listening in, is down in South Carolina, and I know parts of South Carolina got hit by that hurricane too. But you know, as we reach out all over the country, in some cases, you know, and encourage people with the Word of God, we've got to find ways to continue to seek out where at any part of our age, any of our age ranges, there are passions and people that align, and how do we live that out? Down at the bottom of the page, there's another section there that says, define your need or group. So it's like saying, What does my heart need? What does my heart need to feel fulfilled? And what is the group that I connect with? Maybe it's an age group, maybe it's an interest group, maybe it's Ann Smith got involved with First Step, and she always seems to end up as treasurer of any of these groups, but that's a really important thing where she's helping in many cases people who are trying to pay for rent assistance or stay in their housing, and also trying to provide guidance and leadership to the group by serving on the board. So that's a really neat way in which she's doing that. Carrie, you one of your passions has been to really reach out to kind of a broad spectrum of people, not necessarily friend group, but you're reaching out to through the fair. I was thinking about all the different groups that applied to us, and talk a little bit about how those things helped some of these groups. Nanette talks about her passion connecting with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, for instance.
Right. Yeah, a lot of athletes, a lot of high school kids worked for us this year at those fair buildings, those community buildings for the fair. So that was a big thing as far as you don't know how many of those kids are connected with a church or what a church does. I mean, sure, we had church groups out there volunteering, but we had girls pom-poms or cheer or dance. We had whatever it's called now. They go by different names. I think dance is now the main one, and then cheerleading is separate. They also volunteered. And I think, it was really meaningful for them to take part in serving their community that way. More so, they love to raise funds, but what they really enjoyed was working together as a team to accomplish something and serve others. So I think that made a huge impact.
I thought it was interesting today at noon when we met. Cindy Hedge said one of the things through her work as an attorney that has consumed a lot of her time has been working with the elderly and the homebound. But one of the things that she didn't feel very passionate about was working with the elderly and the homebound. So she shared a skill that she had that didn't necessarily align with a passion that she had, which can happen. I really loved working with youth and young adults when I was out in Kansas City, and even when I came to LaPorte. But now at this point in my life, hanging out with Sunday school kids is no longer my passion, although I really do love hanging out with youth. I think a lot of times they look at me and they go, "Who's this old dude?" So sometimes age has an effect on how you are able to relate and so forth. And Nanette says, kids do love to help others and spread God's word. I think, it's when they see an example of it and have an opportunity to show it. And sometimes we just have to do things, try things in order to find out what we really love. Right? I think when we say, let me try this, let me do this. Shirley says our quilting group shares a passion for hands-on work and those in need. In addition to our quilts, we do layettes and health kits and school kits. And so true, it's like the people who volunteer for Rock the Block and helping, in many cases, underprivileged kids get backpacks and school supplies and meet those needs, as well as having fellowship with teachers and principals who are out there kind of mingling around. That's in some cases, that's the only time that some of the administrators really interact directly with parents and students, which is kind of cool. So when you start to think about and expand your, sort of like, these are my passions. Now, how can I apply those to serving God? Then the scope narrows. You begin to figure out, what I can do. The next one was define which needs you intend to meet in their lives. So you start to look at what needs can I meet. There was an example in the book of Acts where Peter is going into the temple, and there was a guy that was sitting at the temple begging, and he couldn't, I think he was lame, if I remember right. I'm not 100% sure right now. And Peter said to him, I have no money, but what I do have is, basically my relationship with Jesus. And I say to you, get up and walk. Which is not bad, you could actually do a miracle. You may not have money, but there was I just heard about a story where Elvis Presley, who was a Christian, at times just randomly would help people who were down on their luck. He had lots of money. There was a homeless guy that I think you shared the story with me, Carrie, about a homeless guy that he just met and handed him $5,000. He was out of work, and Elvis Presley just that's not like throwing $1 into a tin cup on Lakeshore Drive or in Chicago. It's if he was able to do it, money was of no object to him. But you're for all of us, the most valuable thing that we have is our passion and our time.
Time.
So if we can give of our, and our money, of course, is valuable too in many cases if we're able to do that. And here's an important thing to remember too. I want you to think about your weaknesses for a minute. God can use our weakness, even our failures, as well as our strengths and passions, as a part of the masterpiece he is making in your life. Sometimes your suffering can help others get through their own difficulties and discover their potential. Thanks for sharing your black cat there. I think one of the most difficult things that I do is funerals, but it's also one of the most moving and influential times in people's lives where I can share God's love. And so to have that opportunity is pretty amazing, when you think about it. When someone is sick or fearful, Jim, about a hospitalization or about a child who's ill or something like that, your knowledge and skill offered to them in just words can be of great service. Ben, when you're at work and your Christian faith, to comfort and encourage somebody at work, or to show your supervisor or boss that you care about your work, you're passionate about doing your job well. These things can really pay off in terms of God using us to impact others. I want to go through this is on page 2. So I'm going to read some definitions, and I'd like, if you're listening on Facebook or if you're watching here on Zoom, tell me if you resonate with this one. You don't have to answer all of them. Just see if one of them fits you. So what needs do you love meeting? First one is spiritual. Helping people know Jesus and reach their purpose in life. You can, on Zoom, it's easiest to kind of give me a show of hands as opposed to, saying something. Okay. Physical. Using your resources to help people through physical expressions of love, like food, clothing, shelter. Give me a show of hands. Yeah, Nanette was on the spiritual. Julie was on the spiritual. So how about the physical? Give me a show of hands. Okay. I don't need any meals this week, by the way. I'm okay for this. All right. Relational. So when I finish this, just raise your hands if you relate to it. Helping people develop an authentic relationship, connecting people, making friends. Okay. So I think that's an important one. Emotional. Helping people who are experiencing hurt or pain, counseling, or being an encourager. Okay. Educational. You find special fulfillment in using a teaching gift to help others learn.
That's a good bet.
Okay. Vocational. You enjoy training, coaching, advising others in overcoming obstacles or barriers to reach their goals.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Excellent. So you can see just in those 6, spiritual, physical, relational, emotional, educational, vocational, you each find in some of these things gifts, that passions that drive you, right? So some questions to ask as you push this along further is, what causes would you like to help conquer? Is there a cause that really drives you? Or who do you love serving? Youth, older people, people in their work environments. There's a whole bunch of things that I've listed below there. Who am I most likely to influence? That's a really important question, because there are those that you are able to influence, that you have the greatest impact with. And I think that's something that helps you define your spiritual gifts. What age range am I most likely to minister to? So Phil says people that are in need. Now, there, for instance, Phil, if you can narrow that down to the kind of need that people have, that spiritual, physical, relational, emotional, educational, vocational, homeless. He's interested in helping with homeless folks. So First Step might be a great organization to work with. Unfortunately, LaPorte's not doing a very good job on this. We need to do some better work on it. Joanne loves to work with children, and did with 5th graders for years and years. How could my particular gifts help someone else? See, being aware of yours, Russ, you mentioned earlier your work with SAWS, and unfortunately, some of the key leaders of that group stepped down, and so we haven't had the impact that we did for a while. Oh yeah, Phil, you can relate to this, having been homeless for a while. That's an incredible learning experience, I'm sure. and what you went through. I also suggested in that bottom part, the examples of things that causes that we are interested in, and sort of rating those causes as sort of 1 through 5, five being really important and 1 being not as much of an interest to you. So right now, for instance, abortion is a very hot topic, homelessness, drug abuse, marriage and family. It's you can't tackle every cause, but there may be a cause that really drives your interest. And maybe, for instance, take homelessness as an example. Maybe a coalition of people that really care about this can make a difference. I don't think it's going to come from government. I really don't. In fact, I think a lot of the time the government really blows it. They don't know what they're doing. I was interested in New York City, where the mayor of New York City set up a homeless shelter in Ocasio-Cortez's. I think she's from Brooklyn, isn't that right?
Right.
District. Yeah.
Yeah,
Her district.
and she didn't want the immigrants there. I thought that was interesting. She didn't want them in her district, even though she really supports immigration.
Yeah, right.
Julie says empathy and humility is the biggest gift to give everyone. It is, and if you can specifically find an area in which that is, you think about how people have responded to Ukraine and done things to help us deal with that. I think one of the biggest concerns I have for kids is this fentanyl issue.
Oh,
I'm extremely worried about youth who may be tempted to just experiment one time, and it's only going to take one time for that to kill them. I mean, there are schools now, colleges that what's the pen that they use, first responders use when someone's Narcan.
Yeah.
They're putting around some campuses now, they're putting what's called Narcan boxes so that they can, and they're training kids coming into college how to use Narcan. So you think about
that's not good.
that, it's just so scary, when you're talking about 30,000, 40,000 youth who are dying a year of drug overdose. I know, Carrie, you've worked with some families that have dealt with, I don't know if any of the rest of you have done that. But it's alcoholism is another issue that's very hard to solve and deal with. And I know we had some interest in hosting a group, an Al-Anon group at church, but they wanted to meet at night, and we don't have the security at night at church. And I would hope that an organization like the hospital might be able to host a group like that, where they have personnel and where they have security, to later hours in the evening, because that's a real issue now, especially
the group leaders even said, we love coming to look at your building, but there's no way we would want to meet here after hours, because we just have so many people just coming out of addiction issues that, they're ready to steal anything they can, that because they still want drugs or alcohol or whatever. And very difficult for those leaders too. I thought that what a passion they have to
good for them,
help folks, get through something they went through themselves.
I think one of the biggest challenges for us as a church is trying to help people find that passion and that connection. And I think we've done a really good job, not perfect job, but a good job of giving people volunteer opportunities to explore ways in which they can serve. But that's a constant effort. A lot of times what we get is, hey, you guys should do this. Instead of, and kind of one of my comebacks is, that's a great idea. Why don't you?
Yeah.
Because it can't just be, the two employees at church that do all the things. There have to be people who have a passion for something to do it, to start it, to organize it, or to help find people who have the same passion that they do and pull that off. Ted Taylor came in last week and said that he felt pretty good about visiting older folks, and that he was going to help do some visits. And it's maybe not right away, immediately that day or that week, but I know he's going to do it because Ted's a man of his word. And so that's an enormous blessing to people who just need to communicate and stay in touch with their church. But I think, having studies like this can help us at least think about our gifts. So here's your homework for the week. By the way, how many of you got to fill this sheet out last week? Any of you get that? The people that came with the last week's study. The people that were in class at noon said that they really liked this one a lot, because they said they've done a lot of these rating 1 through 10 things. And they said they like this one because it was love it, like it, or could live without it. It helped them narrow down some things. Now, this week's looks like this.
Yeah.
And it has a number of different spiritual gifts that are listed here.
Yeah.
It's a much more involved chart. So it's going to take you more time. So I would suggest, spending a little time on this and thinking about, Amy Smith said something today I thought was very, very insightful. She said, I have gifts of administration and leadership, but after doing that, it's not my favorite thing to do. So in some cases, you can have gifts, right, to do something, but you might not have the passion to do it. And I think that's important to know about yourself. So part of this is self-discovery and doing the work, based on scripture, based on our discussions and so on, and connecting your passion with the need that is out there and fulfilling it. So, questions that you might have, comment, feedback. I'm looking at Facebook. Facebook is on this side of my computer, and then you all are right here. So, do you have some things that you want to ask or bring up? I'm going to throw it to my partner in crime, Carrie, first. Is the dog barking settled down enough?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're quiet right now. I think we've done a lot of different spiritual gift studies over time, and I like the info with this one too a little bit better. It's a little bit more in depth. I mean, I think some of that is pretty. It's a little like playing the online. What is the test? You're an ENTJ and
Myers-Briggs.
yeah, I can take that and decide what I am, just how I answer the questions. So, if I want to be a ENFT one day I can be, and then you can, you could just answer the questions the right way and be what you think they want you to be. So this one I think is a little more introspective, and I like that. And I think it's good even when we think sometimes at different stages of our lives we have certain things figured out.
Right.
And so I'm always finding that the more I reintroduce myself to things like this, that those spiritual gifts develop and change too. So,
Sure. I mean, what your, some of your spiritual gifts were still in effect and just as effective when you were 20 as they are now.
Right.
But your passions may change and how you use those gifts may change.
Correct.
Ben, you're talking about this is your hopes, your dreams for a family. And, when you're 50, you're going to be going, oh, I'm glad they're gone. I'll see them on the weekends. That's enough, So it changes during your life, right? And where you are now is going to be very different than where you are when you're 50. Jim, you don't have any desire to go off to the office every morning and see patients all day.
No, well, that's, I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. I really miss my aviation practice quote, because I got to know people and we could sit there and talk about stuff. And I did a lot of counseling, believe it or not. And I think I told you once when we were doing the discipleship thing, I actually get to the point now I can actually use Jesus' name. I was afraid to say that years ago. And people don't react in a contrary manner. They go, yeah, it's like, wow. So I kind of missed that part of my life that I was doing. And every once in a while, I'll still get phone calls from people.
Yeah. You can continue to be my therapist. That'll be fine.
Okay. The price is right. I do like teaching, and I every once in a while think of things I could be doing. I'm very jealous of my time now, though. So
right. Yeah, I do get that. And I think we need to, as time permits, I really love it when young folks like Ben, like you, see a passion or a way in which you want to connect and then do it. Because I think one of the things that we've seen, like you and Macy helping out with our events, that's just so encouraging to me when you guys are willing to step up and do stuff like that. Because I think a lot of young people are missing out by not serving. They want to have fun, they want to relax, they want to do things, go places. But I think when you serve, there's a satisfaction that you get that you really can't get anywhere else. And I think like American Licorice has found that secret among their employees. Don't you think, Carrie?
They really encourage that from a corporate standpoint. It's really built into the structure of the company, and you can tell. When they serve, that whole company looks forward to doing that backpack event for Rock the Block and giving away all those backpacks.
And Russ, I think when you were at LaPorte Savings, that was a important thing LaPorte Savings Bank encouraged too, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. We had a committee that I was on as far as donating money, and we allocated a fair amount every year for donations to the community. And it was important. And we make sure the employees knew what we were doing.
One of my fraternity brothers, Jim Dove, his wife's going to have open heart surgery on Thursday, and his birthday is tomorrow. And he and I were talking today, and he's not technically a member at Bethany, but one of the things that he asked for his birthday was for people to make donations to Bethany. And I thought, what a cool thing
Yeah.
that was of Jim to do. And he appreciates, I know he told me how much he appreciates the prayers and support he's received and the connections that they have had through the fair, when we had the fair building and invited the fraternity to work there. Phil says the satisfaction of helping another person or group is priceless. I think, Phil, you're right. And you were really involved for many, many years with scouting. And that's a real key way for young people to interact with each other and also with adults. So Julie says Publix, which is a grocery store chain, has a sign-up sheet every month for the employees to sign up for community projects.
Oh,
Interesting.
Great idea. Great.
Mhm.
There's another business that helps to do that. I think one of the things too, as we think about it, people who are not as active or able to be as active at church publicly, but connect like this way. And Diane, you certainly understand this too from health concerns and things like that. I think we can do a better job as a church interacting with folks. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the cat. Helping folks to feel involved and feel a part of things. And I've tried to do that with Hope is Everything, but in these Bible studies. But I think the church can do a better job as we move forward into the future of trying to connect folks who are, not maybe as not as able to connect with groups that they'd like to be involved in.
Well, I think your red wine and brew though has reached out to people and brought people in that they had no idea, that we were even here.
It's impacted the community in very, very significant ways. Julie Horn just posted a emoji of a black cat. So things are now starting to come apart.
The sunflowers are great because they kind of block it out, but every once in a while you see a tail come across.
Yeah, I know. I've noticed. You want to introduce people to your cat?
This is Lewis. Where Lewis?
Oh,
He's excited.
He's a survivor.
He's excited because I made spaghetti tonight, and I think Lewis was Italian in a previous life. He wants spaghetti badly. He loves it.
One of the 9 lives.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie gets to join, so why not?
Yeah,
Lewis?
why not, Lewis?
Well, thanks everybody. I'll do a better job of getting the study guide out online next week. I apologize for that. And of course, it's always available on Sunday at church, so you can pick it up there. But we'll get it out to you. And just to remind you, if you're interested in being part of our Zoom discussion, happy to send you the link. The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned, on our Zoom call. Would love to have people there and love interacting with you guys. Appreciate you joining in.
Dennis?
Yes.
Just so you know, there were still about 5 of us that showed up at 8:00 on Sunday.
Oh, I know Pastor Chris did.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. No matter how much you put it in the bulletin and announce it, it's always going to be somebody, It
I was more than somebody.
It always happens. Always happens. That's for sure. We've talked about just like saying once a quarter having a service so that everybody knows on that date all the time there's a service where everybody, it's one service for everybody. And I think we are going to be back in the sanctuary for 8:00 this week too. So Lewis will not be there. Neither Charlie will be, but in my office. Hey, thank you all for joining me this evening.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great rest of your evening. God bless. And I'll see you Thursday if you join me for Hope is Everything. Good night.
nice.
Good night.